Hillbilly Harrison League. Punt Billy, kick Billy, pass Billy, hit Billy, Hillbilly Harrison League. Hillbilly Harrison League podcast.
Hey, welcome to the podcast. Merry Christmas. Dave, what's going on?
I'm not Dave.
Oh,
Dave's the guy that wins in fantasy. This is some other guy.
Some other guy?
Yeah.
Macho Libre?
Yeah.
Miller Libre?
The
So
real.
let me get this straight. So Dave can't show his face tonight? Is that what's going on?
Well, yeah. Because the real Dave, he wins fantasy games. He doesn't lose. It's like a loser.
I see what's going on here. I see.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, I'll tell you what you told me several weeks in a row. Take the mask off. It's okay.
It's really hard to talk in this thing.
Yeah. So.
I don't know if I can do it.
There it is.
Might have to keep the hood on.
So one of my ideas was that we just jump on here and we do like a Marvel podcast. We just talk about like Hawkeye, or we talk about like Spider-Man or something. Something that it's more fun for us.
Yeah, you can't say anything about Spider-Man. I think I'm gonna go tomorrow night. I haven't been yet.
You haven't seen Spider-Man yet?
No, I don't go to. Some of us have real jobs, where we do stuff and.
Oh, well, we went last Friday night. So.
I was doing something. I can't remember what it was, but.
Wasn't. It seemed important at the time.
Apparently, it wasn't studying fantasy numbers and stats. That's all I got to say about that. So, I'm curious because they're really. Not a lot of candidates for Hillbilly. I don't think. I mean, that's all on you.
Well, so.
Unless you give it to me.
Yeah, Dave, I don't know.
I didn't even think about that.
I don't know if you know this or not, but
dang,
you were in a playoff game and the team you played scored 82 points.
Yeah.
That's a gift.
Talk about a gift, and I blew it.
And you had two running back, if you chose, you had four running backs.
Yeah.
The two you played did terrible.
Yeah.
If you pick either of the other two, you don't have to get both of them right. You just got to get one of them right. You win, right?
Yeah.
So, yes. So this week's Hillbilly of the Week is Dave Miller. I can't believe you didn't see that coming.
It didn't even occur to me. I guess that's how much of a hillbilly I am.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize I was a hillbilly.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, this is going to get real easy. I'm limiting my awards to teams that are playing actual fantasy games. The rest of us that are playing pretend we're going for high points or whatever. Yeah. So there were only 8 teams. There was 4 matchups that mattered, and we'll talk about those in a second. But when I was looking at Hillbilly, I was only considering, because we might have maybe Ed doesn't care anymore, so he's not going to set his lineup. Oh wait, he didn't care before, so he wasn't setting his lineup. But Danny may be done now and not care. So anybody could be a Hillbilly these next few weeks. But we're talking about the teams that matter. So there was 8 of them, and of those 8,
somebody scored the least.
Well, and it wasn't just that you scored the least. It was that in that matchup, it was anybody's game, 82 to 76, and you had plenty of opportunities on your team to make that better. So
how's that saying in your favorite movie? If you can't spot the hillbilly in the first 5 minutes, then you are the hillbilly or something.
Oh yeah. If you can't spot yes, it's good. It's good. Yeah.
Well, if you saw my write-up, I didn't. Yeah, the running backs, that was a factor, but I didn't really blame them because I was playing scrubs anyway. They weren't. None of the 4 of them were ones at the beginning of the season anybody had their hopes set on. But my 3 wide receivers who I had counted on and started week after week after week, none of them decided to get six point whatever more points that would have got me the win.
Yeah, and and we'll get into this in a little bit. Like, it's a very like the collision of where the world is right now with COVID and everything else, and then how that has matched up into our fantasy playoffs is not optimal either.
Yeah.
So, but all right. So, Dave, I may be I don't want to assume anything. So, when you considered your Miller Time Team of the Week,
it could be boring, but I'm going with the obvious again. How can you not give it to the high point winner by 1/10 of a point in Josh?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, really, the fact that all of the matchups were close to the end, but that one to end the way it did with, I mean, I didn't see. I guess I was watching it, but I wasn't watching the score to see when McLaurin, like when that lead happened, like when this score, but it didn't change for quite a bit, I don't think, unless the Eagles maybe got another sack to pull it within the 105. I can't remember exactly, but I really kind of thought that they would get one more point, you know, a sack, or because Washington was just trying to, do whatever. I figured they'd make a mistake, but.
Yeah, well, and it's tough. Like when that was just a really interesting matchup because Danny's got his defense going and Josh had a player going. And it was like,
last week he was a 0, even though he scored 150. We talked about that. He'd been kind of hit or miss, and he's got a guy that throwing to him that was on a practice squad for the Patriots, I think, before the week started.
Yeah. So well, let's get this out of the way. Congratulations, Josh, on Team of the Week, on high points. I mean, Josh in the last little bit. I mean, just think about this. So he had won high points early.
Yeah.
And then he gets one last week. He makes the playoffs. He wins a fantasy playoff game. So in my math, I think is he up to $60? He's already, without winning the league, he's already paid for his. Right.
Yeah. 10 for making the playoffs, 20 for winning week 1.
3 high points and
3 high points. That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
$60.
Everything else is house money, right?
Yeah. So congratulations, Josh, on that. Let's jump in just to the that was a. Do you know what would have happened if they would have ended tied? Did you go and read, or do you know anything?
I did not go and look. I'm sure there's it probably would be. I assume most of the stuff refers back to total points.
Okay,
is the way most of the time that works. But I didn't look and see specifically. That would have
been Josh's advantage. Is that right?
Yeah, by like 200, 300 points.
And
so I assume that's what would have happened.
And especially because they share the same record.
Yeah. Now maybe if they played each other, they would. I'd have to go, and I don't even know where to find that in the ESPN archives or whatever. But yeah, that'd be
Yeah, I'm glad that didn't happen because a lot would get thrown on you as the commissioner to
You think somebody
would bring that up?
Yeah. And ESPN doesn't make it easy to find all the little rules like that.
Stuff. Yeah.
Like they tend to wait and then they post it when they, when something happens.
Yeah.
Then they put it out there.
When they decide that a guy who doesn't play tight end can't be a tight end anymore.
Then all of a sudden you can find that little rule where they you have to play a certain position for a certain number of times or something. But like things like that. I don't know what the tiebreaker. I'm sure you can find it somewhere.
Well, and so the drama got, having games all those different days and then having games on Tuesday, and you can only watch that whole thing added to the drama of it. The fact that they were tied after Monday Night Football,
it definitely factored in. I think I know it did for me, but for everybody, I'm sure, of who you played based on all these games being moved. Yeah. Because you had to make a decision early or wait, until Monday or Tuesday, not knowing what was going to happen. That made it more difficult. But everybody's in the same boat, So it's fair, and what it turned into was having 2 games on the last, going on at the same time. Yep. that all but one team had players going, and that one team had the lead, so all they could do was watch and see. It was like I said, I don't know that it'll ever happen again. Like,
well, and really, like halfway through the Tuesday games, everybody was still in play. Now,
Yeah.
for some people, it would have taken a little bit more, but I mean, dude, if Gibson wasn't banged up and he would have been able to get that goal line touchdown that Washington got,
the early one, which I thought, wow, okay, that changed, and then it was the night before Vikings defense that really, propelled, Brennan back into the mix. Getting that 17 points was huge.
But imagine if
Gibson scores.
Imagine if Gibson gets that goal line carry.
Yeah.
That they got like right before, like, it was in the fourth quarter. It was like with 11 minutes left. I mean, that would have been enough to pull it almost even, I think, at that time, or maybe even give Brennan the lead.
Yeah, I think it probably would have.
So, I mean, just like how crazy that stuff was. And it is interesting. Like, there was several times, and part of it's COVID and part of it's just the nature of football, that there was some scores in those Monday and Tuesday games by guys that aren't on anybody's roster.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's like so heartbreaking.
I mean, that's what, like, if I didn't, you brought up the Seattle game, and they didn't, I don't know how they picked which teams were on which markets, because none of them were close to us, but
right.
I kind of would have liked to watch that to see what was going on. Like, last week Penny got all the carries, and like I just all I could see is the little Gamecast thing, and they're close to the one, and they're like, why did that DD Dallas get the ball? Did Penny just run the ball and then have to take a breather? I mean, I couldn't see the game flow to see what was going on. All I saw was, Dallas got the TD, so I had to buy a new phone because my phone went against my wall. So, but I'm like, why? Why
throw
him?
it through your TV? Is that why you got a new TV?
I threw it through the TV, so I had to get a new one. Yeah, but like those are the kind of things. Like, why that Patterson guy, and like, why him? Why, and even when I'm watching, they Hurts runs into, which you'd got to think that a little quick pass to giant Goddard would have been one of those two would have been nice. If he gets a TD, I win.
So Josh pulls out the squeaker. I mean, he gets Miller time. That was a great matchup, and like you said, that went back and forth. That was crazy. And then like the Rennie versus Travis matchup, like there was a time where Travis looked dead in the water.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like it starts off with,
well, until Cooper Kupp came along, that thing was over.
Yeah, I was trying to think of because Rennie had who did he have going? He had
Elliott. He had Elliott the kicker.
Yeah, but he had a lead. He had the lead. That's right.
Yeah, he had the lead, and he had a kicker going, but he didn't have enough lead for Kupp to get 25.
Yeah, and he got those. He got especially the second touchdown. That was the killer. The first one, you got to assume that Kupp's going to get one because he's been. I mean, that guy, he's been all year. Like what a draft like that. Getting him, that was. But for him to just keep scoring and then scoring and that just for Rennie just to watch it happen, there's nothing you can do about it. You know?
Well, and like you in your matchup, so if we take a look at yours, you were talking about some of the different things on your part, but sometimes it's the things that happen early too. I mean, Taylor breaks that touchdown at the end of the game, and goes from having a containable game to having now a touchdown plus 70 more yards.
Yeah, like that obviously was way more than the difference, 13 points. Like, and like, why did that happen? Like, all they had to do was,
they were just trying to get first downs.
Yeah. Like, I thought I came out of that game unscathed.
They were going to get one first down and the game was going to be over, and he was going to have a mediocre.
And then it's the little things. Like, I even put one of the day, like right after the Charger game, I put that I'm probably going to regret that ball going through Mike Williams' hand. Right there, that would have been. I'm sure it was more than. All it had to be was 4 yards out, right? 6. Yeah. 4. Yeah. If it was any
Well, and
6 points
I,
plus any yards.
well, and I was watching that because I think I would text you like when he dropped,
Yeah.
that one. But then there was like 2 or 3 others where it was like either that wasn't there one that was a penalty that called back, and then it was like they targeted him somebody. It's like that guy couldn't catch a break. So
Then
yeah, that
like
it was interesting watching
that
yours.
early the Goddard fumble off his ankle.
Yeah,
Like if he catches that and runs up the field for 60 yards, or even, then he had another drop. He had 2 drops, and I think both of those together would have been pretty close to 6 points. So it's all the little stuff but I mean, in the end, I scored. My wide receivers let me down, and I can't really, I can't say anything because they sucked.
and then Adam versus Brennan. Brennan really never looked like that. It looked like Adam it looked like Adam was going to steamroll, and then he starts off with that huge game by Travis Kelce, and you're just like, man, that's going to
like, why watch the rest of the time?
Yeah, and then for a huge part of that game, Stafford was just like mediocre, and so you're just like, man,
well, and he threw a
Brennan
pick
just
too.
keeps hanging around and just keeps hanging around, and man, that one ended up being really close. And like you said, like, if Gibson's healthy that whole football game and was able to get that last touch, like that would have been totally changed the outcome of that.
Yeah, and like even in like the day before, Chubb had been held in check most of the game because Cleveland was sucking, and then he gets a late touchdown.
Yeah,
that was huge.
For Adam,
but, Adam definitely gets some credit. I don't know, Amon-Ra St. Brown whose radar was he on? Who was looking through the free agent pool thinking that's the guy I want to pick up because I know he's going to get 15 points. Adam, that's who.
And how those things collided. So Adam decides to start a Detroit wide receiver. Yeah. Detroit, who's been pretty pathetic the entire season, and the game that they have a breakout game is the game that he decides to start this guy.
Goff decides that he's actually a good quarterback and throws these bombs to people.
And how often do you survive a fantasy win when you get negative points from your defense?
That's true. And that too, like he probably thought, which Packers against the backup, quarterback for Baltimore. That's I'll take those odds,
Yeah.
And Huntley played like he was a superstar. So those are all the, all those things. Just points, couple points here, couple points there. That game was 5 points separated. Mine was 6. One was 0.1, and then Travis's was 9, and it seemed closer than that,
Well, so like I said, like every single one of them had players playing in those Tuesday games, and they were within reach. Now, some of them would have taken more than others, but a touchdown and some yards from almost anybody would have made on either side would have made those a whole lot closer. So let's look at, I don't know if you've taken any time to look at the upcoming matchups for this coming week, but
not yet.
We've got, and we don't know anything because there'll be some tinkering and there's COVID stuff that's out there and, all that stuff still up in the air. But our matchups are Travis versus Adam and then Josh versus Lee. So we've got an 8-6 team in Travis versus a 10-4 team in Adam. And then we've got Josh 8-6 versus Lee 9-5. And we'll see how those end up going. Tell me, how many points did Travis score last week?
The week before?
Yeah, like in this first playoff game.
Oh, not he was at 96.
96. So Adam had 104. So just giving somebody some reference on like what we're talking about. Obviously, Adam won the league, and Travis kind of sputtered there towards the end of the going into the playoffs. He lost 2 going into the playoffs, but he's found ways to win,
Yeah.
A way to win this week. So that'll be interesting. He's been rolling with Kirk Cousins. Adam's been rolling with Matt Stafford. And both of them have, I would say that Travis probably has the running back advantage because he's got 2 starters in Cook and Mixon. You've got Pollard and Chubb that Adam's looking, if he keeps it that way right now, we'll see. But, he's also got Kupp and, but Adam's got Diggs. So you never know what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
They got some lineup issues, but, I think that one's could be close. You just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then our second matchup is Josh versus Lee.
Obviously, Lee had a down week, so you think that he comes out, gets a win within the 80s, and so you got to think he's due for a bounce back, which.
But nobody's been hotter than Josh, and so which is good. You can look at it 2 ways. You can be like, man, I don't want to play him because he's just been scoring a ton of points, or is it that week that Josh is going to drop down in the 80s again because he had a few of those during the season? So.
Lee's got is Eckler just out for now, or he's got an O by his name, doesn't he, or is that a Q? No, it's an O. That's not a good sign, is it? Because right now his choices are starting.
He's on the COVID list.
Okay, so there's still a chance.
Yeah. So what they're saying for everybody that's on there, because I read it about Travis Kelce, was that they were saying if these guys are vaccinated, then I think they just have to. They've got like 5 days in a row that they got to. I don't know what happens. They said there's still possibility that they could end up on the field. So his projection hasn't changed yet.
Yeah.
But maybe they just haven't updated that yet.
So if he's there, between those running back, Lee might take a hard look at finding 3 replacements for wide receivers, but maybe maybe those guys are due, but because
his wide receivers really let him down. Jared Jeudy, I watched that Denver game last week. Jared Jeudy was on the field the whole time.
He caught one and it was got the penalty, took it away, no play. So but he's, if he gets anything with those running backs, and then he didn't have, I don't think any of his quarterbacks.
Well, he's got 3 options at quarterback. None of them
even scored 20, I don't think. No. So,
but that's kind of like what you were at. None of them are great. Yeah. He's in a place where he's got to pick one of them, and he's hoping he just picks right. There, you're just hoping you do the least amount of damage. You're just hoping you get somebody that's not gonna.
Yeah. So does Josh have any injury problems? I guess Jones has a Q, and Brown might be back. If Brown is actually playing without Godwin and Evans, that could.
and you got to figure you got a really mad Tom Brady.
Yeah, no doubt. They're not getting shut out again.
No.
So maybe Ed gets high points this week.
Yeah. So that'll be, I think those are going to be good. If I'm just picking, I'm probably saying that I'm going with Josh. I think Josh gets the win in that matchup, and then I would probably go with Travis, not because I doubt Adam. I think Adam's got a really good team. I just think that Travis is due for a breakout game. So we'll see what happens. So and both of those, but that's what you play for. Can you believe we're down?
What you're saying is, though,
teams?
One of these 4 teams is going to be a hillbilly, and one of them's going to be a militarized. Okay.
Yeah. One of them's going to be the team of the week, and one of them's going to be. And we just got to look at decisions that they make.
Because what if they all score 120?
Well, then it'll be. I'll apologize as I give it to him.
Yeah, sorry you scored 120 and lost, but you're still a hillbilly because you chose this guy over this guy.
Yeah. So
that'll be fun.
I think we're in for some low scores. I don't know.
Yeah, last week, it was a 50 point difference.
Yeah, 105 is the high points instead of 150.
Yeah.
I just think
That's
that
like
the way
that's like
things are
two
trending-
players scoring 25 points. You know, that's a big difference.
Yeah, the way things are trending. But can you believe we're down to 4 teams that we're all the way through this whole thing?
It's just crazy. Seems like we just started this thing.
Yeah. So side note, we'll just we'll get on a side note. What do you think about the Bengals' chances of winning the division? A lot of it plays off this week. I mean, there's a couple weeks left after this, so you can't seal anything up. But they play Baltimore this week, right?
Yeah.
Is that at home?
We don't know whether Lamar's playing right.
Yeah.
Either one, though. You know that you just don't know what offense is gonna.
Well, I'm under the assumption with the Bengals, at least this year, that we're talking about whether Lamar plays or like. I don't think that the other team has anything to do with it. It just depends on which Bengals team shows up to play.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
You know what
I mean, that was definitely true for, the Jet loss.
Yeah.
It was.
Now, I will say that I thought they fought really hard in the 49ers game. And is that the game that they lost in overtime? Or
Yeah, because they scored a touchdown to end it, Debo, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
They fought really hard in that game, but, man, you would just like to get that win.
Yeah. And that's where, because
they got the ball first.
Why did they abandon the pass?
Well, they scored a field goal. And that was that deal where they made like 3 really conservative play calls, like down in field goal range, like first, second, and third down. They ran the ball twice and then did a little pat.
You have to think that this week they've set themselves up to be in good shape because, for week after week it was Chase. Then he got doubled or whatever, and then Higgins had like 3 really good games in a row. So they must have been paying attention to both of them because then Boyd breaks out. So now what do you do? If they could somehow, one of those guys has to be open, and if they're all not open, Mixon should be able to. How are they not scoring every freaking? I don't know.
Yeah. So it'll be fun. I do not like the fact that all those AFC teams are bunched up like that.
Yeah, because the Steelers are still in it. Cleveland's still in it.
We did get the Raiders gave us a gift though. Thank you for that, because if Cleveland would have won that game and then they jump up to be in first place in the division, you just feel different about the season.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah, that was great.
Yeah. So I like that.
Because the bad thing is they're in first, but they could go from first to fourth in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And not make the playoffs, and that's what that would suck.
Yeah. So, any other general NFL like who you like coming out of the NFC?
I don't know my divisions. Do you got them all memorized? You know what everyone is?
Well, so like in the NFC, in the West, you've got the Chargers, right? And
NFC West is NFC West would be Arizona, Rams.
No. Or I meant Rams. I said Chargers. I meant Rams.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah.
Got 10-4, 10-4. Both of those teams. Seattle's done. They suck.
Well, they didn't they stay in? Did they? Oh, they lost this week, right?
Yeah, they suck.
Man,
They're
Russ is not cooking.
No, he's not.
Yeah, 5-9. Yeah, they're done. So you got the Cardinals lost though. So I don't. A lot of teams had an early favorite of the Cardinals coming out, and a lot of people early on really liked the Rams too, and then they kind of sputtered a little bit. So the West is interesting, but both those teams will make the playoffs. And then I think the really one of the wild card teams. The interesting thing is these 3 teams that are 7-7. You've got Philly and Minnesota and New Orleans. So like one of those 3 teams will make the playoffs, maybe 2, and like they're just, like New Orleans held together by like flu. I don't have any confidence in Philadelphia, and Minnesota's like got all the pieces, but they don't ever seem like that they're going to ever put them together. They look like they could be the best team, a really good team. Yeah. I mean, you got Dalvin Cook and you got,
Jefferson. You ever heard of that guy?
Yeah. It's like, they keep asking if anybody wants to make a trade this late, but nobody's. So, and then you got Dallas, who continues to win football games, even though their fantasy values like went into the toilet. Yeah. So, it'll be interesting. Anybody but Tampa. That's what I would be rooting for. Just because I'd like to see somebody different in the Super Bowl.
So you want to humor Adam?
Do you have something for everybody?
Christmas for gifts? No, we could go. I don't, but we could go back and forth. One of us goes first. We'll start with the 1 through 12.
Let me pull up our.
So number 1 would be Adam. You want to take Adam, or you want to punt to me?
Oh, I'll take Adam, and I will say if Adam could get one thing for Christmas, it would be a huge game from Stephon Diggs. If he could get one thing for Christmas, that would be what he would want. So that underneath the Christmas tree on the day after, I feel like that's like one of the key places if he could get some huge points from Diggs there in that game.
I'll give a Christmas gift to Lee of a wide receiver touchdown.
Any of them, right?
It may not be any of the 3 starters. He might pick 3 free agents.
Oh,
does St. Brown or was saying whatever that Detroit guy? Does he have a brother on another team? Maybe.
Yeah. If I could give Josh a Christmas present, it would just be more of the same.
More of the same.
More of the same. Just everything that's been happening over the last 2 weeks, just keep that going. Like he's in a good little groove right now. I don't think he has to change much. He's the one team that I feel like doesn't need to scramble around to figure something out. He just needs to hope that everything stays exactly the same.
Okay. So what do you give a gift to the guy who's got everything?
What do you give him?
I give him a bigger barn.
A bigger barn?
Yeah, so he can put more stuff in. That's what I give Rennie. Yeah. A bigger barn.
Yeah, because it is tough. Now we're getting into some guys that don't have playoff aspirations, right?
Yeah,
those are done. So
it's not football related.
Rennie needs a bigger. He had a piece of property like over in West Harrison. He talked about building a house and then he sold it, so he doesn't even have a place to build a barn now. It'd be expensive to get one over there by the casino where he's living now.
Yeah, it probably would.
Yeah, but he could. It'd be probably a warehouse. That's what he would get downtown, right?
Like maybe there's a vacant one. He can take over the whole 3rd floor or whatever. So, all right, you got Travis.
Yeah, well, it's like you just put it on a golf tee and gave it to me. For Christmas, Travis, I would like to bless you with a flex spot. So Dave and I have talked this week for the playoffs.
1 week only.
1 week only. You can flex in whoever you want at that 3rd wide receiver spot. You can start another quarterback for all I care. Merry Christmas, Travis.
Man, what to give Danny?
Oh.
If Danny sat on Santa's lap, what would Danny ask for Christmas? He's out of the playoffs, so it doesn't have to be football related. Danny.
Wouldn't you give him a wife? I'd give Danny a wife. That's what I'd give him. But I don't know. Would I wish that on anybody? Sorry.
No. What I'd give Danny is a mistress. A wife, and then a mistress. There you go.
Congratulations, Danny.
Then you're living large. All right, you got me.
Oh, Dave. If I
What do I want for Christmas?
if I could give you anything for Christmas, it'd be a do-over.
Yeah, that would be nice.
It would be a do-over, Dave. One, you get to go back and you get to change your lineup one time.
Brennan, if I could go back and take away, that,
Would
that I-
or would
that I
you
ever,
swap? Would you
no,
swap?
that I'd give Brennan that I ever even suggested that he had a fake girlfriend.
Uh,
'Cause
I was gonna say if I could give Brennan something, it would be when he turned those drafts in that he put his name on Josh's
Yeah.
and Josh's name on his.
kind of like a switched at birth kind of thing. We would have
Yes,
never known.
It's so easy. It's so hey, this one's Josh's, this
Yeah.
one's mine. Fill those
Yeah.
out. Fill that out.
He picked the wrong draft, is what he
That
did.
would have been some major controversy because Adam logs them all. He'd been like, hey, wait a second. This
Wait a minute.
guy, hey.
That wasn't his team.
I'm kidding. He wouldn't complain about that.
All right, you got Brian.
Oh, I'd give Brian a week 1 miracle. No stat adjustment. He gets that win. He gets into the playoffs, and then, well, he had another terrible week last week, so it wouldn't have mattered. But
Yeah.
he wouldn't have that as an excuse.
Yeah. All right, Ed. There's a special kind of alarm clock that was invented that rings whenever you need to change your players out.
Oh.
Every week, it like rings and says, "Hey, you got a guy on bye. Hey, you got a guy injured. Hey, you got a guy that sucks. You need to get him out of your lineup."
Yeah.
That's what Ed needs,
Yeah.
because he can't
Is it-
remember to do it
is it
on his
like-
own.
Is it kind of like Siri? He just wakes up in the morning and it's just like, Ed, you have 2 players on bye this week.
Yeah.
Please change your lineup.
That would be a great Christmas present for Ed, because Lord knows he needs it.
Yeah. Oh, Junior. I wish that for Junior, I would give him the gift of the entire, not just our league, but the entire world using his team name. Like I want like at school, I want him to know about it, and like when all of his family comes over for Christmas, I want him to know about. Like I want everybody.
Are you
to
saying
experience
like
the joy of
T-shirts at the draft?
yeah, T-shirts at the draft, like everybody.
I'm off all weekend. Beat me.
Yeah. What do you give me?
Well, instead of a do-over, we don't want to go back. We're done going back. What you need is a fast forward to the tavern for the draft.
It's the 2022. Is it all
2022.
I've posted a few times. Like I don't know the exact date we're going to draft, but I've pinpointed it pretty close. You know what I mean? Like I kind of have it in my mind.
Because let's be honest, we go back and for you a do-over, it's still going to be a bad season. It's going to be put that season to bed.
Yeah.
You're thinking 2022 at the tavern. That's what you need.
Yep.
So, that was kind of fun.
Yeah. Do you think it's set? You think it's set like our league? That's just where we draft from now on.
I mean, till somebody has a better idea. It works. I don't really know where it is in like geographically for everybody. Other people that come from.
But that works too, right?
I guess it depends on where Rennie is. If he's hanging out someplace.
Yeah.
If he's coming all the way from downtown Cincinnati, that's a long trip.
It would be different if he didn't have an affection for it. So right, like it's worth the drive for him because he's like he loves it. So
that's true. So
and for some guys, like I'll go there once a month or something like that. But for some guys, that's the only time they'll go there. And like I think it's a once a year kind of place for if you like fried chicken, you like that thing. I mean, we got Brennan to eat fried chicken, so it's got to be.
I didn't even know it existed until I started working for FSS, and Josh's family kind of runs it, and so we ended up there a few times because, so I've been there more times in the last 3 years. Obviously, I never even knew it was there. So,
yeah, Josh's sister runs it. So
yeah,
thank you.
I'm not a big chicken fan, but I do like the burgers and a lot of other stuff there. So
yeah, you don't like fried chicken at all, or you don't like their fried chicken?
I've never tried it there. I usually don't order it unless I'm at KFC. If that's what we're,
No, this is not KFC chicken, Dave. You need to stop. You're talking like a moron, okay? Like, you sound stupid now speaking. So, when you would go over to Andy's, would you eat Andy's fried chicken?
Oh yeah, I love it.
So this is that fried chicken.
Okay.
Because they're related. I don't know if you know that. Josh Wilhelm.
Is it made in a barrel out back?
Well, they've taken the recipe. I mean, this is like. Are you putting like 2 and 2 together yet? Like, you understand this?
I guess, yeah. I didn't make the connection that Andy's chicken and that chicken would be related, but yeah, I guess it makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
All
Do
right.
you want to go now?
Yes.
Are they open till 12?
I mean, I don't think we'll have to go whenever you're ready. So
Okay.
it's my son, Jackie, practices at the parish right across the street from it
Okay.
on Thursdays from 5 to 7. So like he's there for 2 hours. So then I'm just like, oh, hey.
Hey, I could go gamble.
Yeah. So, well, that was fun. Good luck
Yeah.
to our playoff teams.
Good
Adam,
job, guys.
Travis, Josh,
Proud
and
of you.
Lee. That's going to be fun for them. I hope the Bengals win the AFC North. That would be amazing. This week would go a long way in that. We'll see. What'll be interesting, so this first week, Josh wins high points. He's a playoff team. If we follow suit, will we keep a
Yeah.
high points
You think any
team of the 4?
you think any of the 6 of us or 8 of us can get the high points?
I mean, statistically, odds would say that it's in the favor to be the field versus like, you know what I mean, the
But you
4
gotta
playoff
think-
teams.
You got to
But
think
those are
like
the 4 best teams.
That's true, but like you said at the beginning, some of the 8 might not do much this week
Yeah.
and not care, and it's not worth $10 for them to try to put a good lineup together. So that
Right.
knock a couple
Well,
teams out.
especially with COVID stuff, if you got to go in and free agents and like figure all that stuff out, like some people,
Yeah.
and it's the holiday week, so like all that stuff's done. So
I don't know about you, but I tend to not. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look, but this is not. I mean, I guess I get knocked out. I make the playoffs and then frequently get knocked out. So yeah, this is not. It's not like it's But if I get knocked out of the playoffs, I'm not jumping on and getting the first free agent.
right.
I'm like, I'll wait a while. I'll wait till like Sunday, and then I'll pick somebody that I think
Because
but
you
I'm
think Lee deserves to get those 3 wide receivers he needs
Yeah,
instead
yeah.
of you.
I just don't tend to make a lot of effort to get this 10. I mean, I'll put a lineup out there, but generally I'm happy with my team still, thinking that they should have been continuing, and I go with who I had before. So that's probably what I'll do.
All right. Well, you guys all have a Merry Christmas. We will see you next week.
So we got
and,
some work to do for.
We got some
for
work
Rennie
to
week.
do. Rennie has agreed to come on next Wednesday night. We'll get him dialed in, and we got a surprise for you as we look forward to the championship match and then relive some of our glory days. We'll take a look at fantasy football history. So
There you go.
that'll be fun.
All right, we'll see you, man.
All right. Bye.